I'm gonna be ranking the worst types of movie fans based on how insufferable they are. And starting off, we have the film snobs. These are the types of people who are gonna look you in the eye and be like, oh, you don't like Jean Dielman 23 Quai du Commerce? You're a fucking idiot. All right, bro, relax. And to be clear, I'm not just talking about people who enjoy art house movies and things like that. That's totally fine. No, I'm talking about people who have a superiority complex based on the types of movies they watch. And without a doubt, the film snobs go into the insufferable tier. And okay, if you're Martin Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola or someone like that who has made some of the greatest films of all time, then yeah, okay, maybe you've earned a little bit of a free pass. You're allowed to be a little bit of a snob at times. You can get away with it. But if you're just some dude who sits on your couch, grabs the remote and presses play on critically acclaimed movies, and for some reason you think that this makes you better than other people, yeah, you're just insufferable. I'm sorry. Simply pressing the play button on critically acclaimed movies is not an achievement, okay? You did not make those movies. You just watched those movies. And again, to be clear, I am not saying that it's a bad thing to like those movies. In fact, it is a good thing because they're great movies. I'm just talking about the gatekeepers, the elitists, the snobs, anyone who thinks they're better than other people, like, oh, the unwashed masses who enjoy their Star Wars and Marvel movies. And there's all sorts of snobs and different hobbies. For example, if you had a guitar snob, someone who spent years practicing playing guitar and they got really good at it, and they became a bit of a snob about the guitar, yeah, they're still annoying, but at least they're really good at playing guitar. That's pretty cool. If you're just a film snob, like, you're not gonna go to a party and be like, I've watched every single movie on the Sight and Sound Top 250. Oh my God, you're so cool. Like, no, that's not gonna happen. You're a fucking movie snob. All right, and next up we have the movie nerd, and this is a little bit different than the film snob. The film snob will call you an idiot because you haven't seen enough silent films, whereas the movie nerd will just passionately rant at you about some random B movie from the 70s. The movie nerd probably likes all the same movies that the film snob likes, plus a bunch of other stuff, but they just don't have a superiority complex about it. This is just a person who is super passionate about movies, loves movies. They've probably seen thousands of different movies throughout their life. They are a true hobbyist, and these people are chill. Honestly, I'm gonna put movie nerd in the chill category. Like, these are just great people. Like, they just love movies. They have their hobby. You'll get great movie recommendations from them. They're really fun to talk to about movies. They're just all around stand-up people, super chill. And then next up, we have the easily offended movie fan. And this category encompasses a very wide range of people. On the one hand, you have people who will go out of their way to look for any little problematic thing in any movie they can find. Like, oh, did you know that Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight is actually a fascist propaganda? Like, okay. Or you have the anti-woke people who are like, oh my God, they just cast a woman in the new superhero movie. This is an outrage. People just get offended over the littlest things. And this also includes people who get angry at you if you disagree with them about a movie. How dare you not like my favorite movie? You are a scumbag. I hate you. It's like, okay, relax, bro. Basically, I would sum up this type of movie fan as anyone who can't handle anyone who thinks slightly differently than they do. Yeah, this goes into the insufferable tier. These people are just absolutely annoying. You have to walk on eggshells around these people, and nobody likes walking on eggshells around people. It's like, loosen up a little bit, lighten up. And by the way, I'm not saying that this applies to anyone who has valid criticisms. Like, yeah, of course, there are very valid criticisms that come up all the time. I'm talking about people who take it way over the top and just get absolutely tilted at the smallest little things. All right, and then next up we have fanboys slash fangirls, and this might be a hot take, but I'm gonna put them into the mostly chill category. And here's the thing, everyone knows that almost every single fan base has a large toxic element to it, but the reason why I'm putting fanboys and fangirls overall in the mostly chill category is that the toxic element of almost every fan base are actually people that belong to these other tiers. For example, if you have someone who is easily offended and a fanboy or fangirl of something, then yeah, those people are absolutely insufferable. But I'm including those people into the easily offended category. If we're just talking about pure fanboys, pure fangirls, people who are just huge fans of one specific thing, it's usually some sort of nerdy franchise, people who are really passionate about the thing that they like, they're mostly chill, to be honest with you. They're kind of just like movie nerds, except they happen to be a little bit more focused on one specific franchise or something like that. And the only reason I'm not putting them in the top chill category is because sometimes they can be a little bit too obsessive about one specific thing. And next up, we have nitpickers. And I'm not talking about people who are generally a bit more critical or more discerning viewers. No, I'm talking about people who go out of their way to nitpick every little detail to the point that it gets a little over the top. And I have to say, I think nitpickers go into the mixed bag tier because really they can go one of two ways. If the nitpicker is funny and you're watching a bad movie with them, then these people are awesome. It's really fun to watch a movie with a funny nitpicker. If it's a bad movie and they're just tearing apart this movie but in a funny way, that's going to be some of the most fun times you're going to have watching a movie. I had a friend in high school who was very much a nitpicker, but when we watched the movie Home Alone 3, he was just saying the funniest shit the entire time. It was one of the most fun movie watching experience I've ever had. However, you also have the other side of nitpickers, the ones who aren't really funny. They just overly criticize every little detail to the point where it just gets extremely pedantic and annoying. And the thing with nitpickers, they almost always just hyper focus on plot holes. Like that's their big thing, is pointing out how many plot holes exist in a movie and just finding little details to tear apart a movie. Sometimes they do have valid points, but I don't know, at a certain point, it's like, okay, there is a big picture that you're kind of ignoring here if you're just going to hyper focus on one specific little detail that is not that big of a deal. So yeah, nitpickers really are a mixed bag. It really just depends on, are they funny and what is the movie that you're watching? And then next up we have casuals. This is pretty much the vast majority of the population. People who enjoy movies from time to time, but they're not really that into it. Think about your buddy who doesn't really know anything about movies, but every now and then you'll watch a movie and they'll be like, yeah, that was a good movie. That was pretty fun. Maybe your grandma, your mom, or your dad or someone like that. Just people who don't really care that much about movies, but they enjoy it enough to watch a movie every now and then. I'm going to put casuals into the chill category. Like I've never really had bad experiences watching movies with casuals. Just normal people, they're not that into movies, but you know, you can have a good time watching a movie with them. And then next we have the basic movie fan. This is pretty much the mortal enemy of the film snob. And the difference between a basic movie fan and a casual is really just that the basic movie fan is a little bit more into movies than them. They might have just started getting into it, or they might just be someone who is slightly more into movies, but still not really that much of a movie enthusiast. Usually their favorite movies are either Tarantino or Scorsese movies, or they just like popular blockbusters like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. I'm going to put the basic movie fans into mostly chill. The movies they like are popular for a reason, so you definitely can have discussions with these people about some pretty great movies. They don't have a super in-depth knowledge, but they know enough that you could have a good conversation with them about it. The only reason I'm not putting the basic movie fans into the fully chill category is because in some cases, the basic movie fan is kind of the precursor to a film snob. Like pretty much every film snob started off as a basic movie fan and eventually graduated to the film snob category. And the thing is, sometimes you can kind of see those traits starting to emerge just a little bit. They're not quite as elitist as film snobs, but there are the occasional basic movie fans who are starting to have a little bit of that superiority complex start to grow a little bit. So that kind of drops them down a little bit, but I still think the vast majority of basic movie fans are very chill people, so I'm going to put them in the mostly chill category. And then next up, we have the overanalyzer. Think of the type of person who would make a 5-hour video essay about a 2-hour movie. Every movie they watch, they have to go into extreme depth, analyzing every little aspect of the movie, analyzing every aspect of the filmmaking and the themes. Oftentimes, the overanalyzers actually enjoy critiquing films and analyzing films more so than they actually enjoy the experience of just watching it. I'm going to put the overanalyzers into the mostly chill tier because honestly, a lot of the times these people have some really interesting observations about movies. They'll point out things that you wouldn't have even thought of. And usually these people are really passionate about movies. They've done their homework. They've studied the history of cinema. They know what they're talking about. And yeah, I would just say they're overall mostly chill. The only reason I wouldn't quite put them into the fully chill category is Sometimes I just want to watch a movie and have fun watching it, not take it that seriously. Sometimes the overanalyzers take things just a little bit too seriously and overthink things. Like maybe they're just a little bit too smart for their own good. But overall, I would say that these people are mostly chill and I really have nothing against them. And then we have the book purists. These are the people who, anytime you watch a movie that was adapted from a book, they will immediately tell you that they read the book and then they will go off, well, actually, the book is way better. All of these things were changed. You should read the book because the movie does not even come close. Like just people who think that the book is always better than the movie and who are always going to tell you that they read the book first. And this is a little bit different than the fanboy / fangirl category because anytime you have a movie that is adapted from a book, the fanboys and fangirls will also have probably read the book. And these are the people that are going to give you all the breakdowns on the lore. They're going to give you insights that you didn't know because you haven't read the book. Those people are chill. When I'm talking about book purists, I'm talking about the ones who automatically default to actually the book is better than the movie. And they'll actually get mad anytime a movie changes any detail from the book. I can't believe they cast an actor with blonde hair when clearly in the book this character has black hair. All right, I get it. You love the book. You wanted the movie to be 100% faithful adaptation of the book. But I don't know. I think it is probably okay for the filmmakers to change a few things from the book if they think that will make the movie better because not everything that works in a book is going to work in a movie. But overall, I'm still going to put the book purists in the mixed bag because for the most part, they're not really harming anyone. And a lot of times they actually do have very valid points. They also will be able to give you a lot more information and lore from the books that you might not have known, but they don't quite make it into the mostly chill or the chill category because a lot of book purists are a little bit annoying. And then next up is the cynic. This is the type of person who seems like they pretty much hate every movie. They might have a few movies that they put up on a pedestal and think those are God's gift to mankind, but every other movie to them pretty much sucks. They always have something negative to say about every movie. And I'm not talking about people who are critical and bring up very valid critiques. I'm talking people who are overly cynical to the point where it's almost just negativity for the sake of negativity. And I would say a lot of times these are probably the same people who would be like, oh, this movie's critically acclaimed. Well, the critics were bought and paid for. They're shills. Oh, this movie is getting good audience scores. Well, it was actually an AstroTurf campaign. And I'm not talking about people who are critical or have high standards. That's totally great. If you have valid criticisms, you should absolutely bring those up. No, I'm talking about people who are just super cynical, just so negative to the point where you're like, do you even like movies? Why do you watch movies if you just hate 90% of movies you watch? So I'm going to put cynics into the mildly annoying category just because they can be kind of a buzzkill. And then next up are people who are loud in theaters, the types of people who will just speak full ass volume in the middle of a movie, people who will be texting in the middle of the movie with their screen on full brightness. They won't even put their film on silent. And I would bet that these are also most likely the same people who litter popcorn onto the floor or just like spill their drinks and just don't care. Yeah, these people are actual scum. And this goes beyond just watching movies. This is just lacking common courtesy, lacking any self-awareness. Do these people realize that there are other people around them and they all paid money to go watch this movie and you're just sitting here making it worse for everyone else around you? And then next up we have old heads, and these are the people who pretty much only watch older movies. A lot of the times it's movies they watched as a kid, or even in some cases it's people who pretty much exclusively watch old silent films or black and white movies. A lot of times these are the people who will say, oh yeah, modern Hollywood sucks, they don't make it like they used to. And to be honest, I actually think old heads are mostly chill. They're just doing their thing. They're just watching old movies they like. I don't really see any problem with that. Sometimes they can be a little bit annoying when they're talking about modern movies because they're like, yeah, modern Hollywood sucks. But then when you ask them, okay, like name 5 movies that came out in the last 10 years, and the only movies they'll be able to list are like, well, there was the Marvel movies and the Star Wars. So it's like, okay, you only watch the main blockbuster movies and then you try to say that modern Hollywood sucks. I understand where you're coming from because yeah, a lot of modern blockbusters do kind of suck, but there's still so many great movies coming out every single year. But setting that aside, I do think most old heads are actually pretty chill because they're just doing their thing. They're just watching the movies they like. I don't really have a problem. There's a lot of great old movies, and if you love those movies, you have nostalgia for it, yeah, go ahead and stick to your old movies. That's great. There's actually so many great old movies, and a lot of times you can actually get some really good movie recommendations from old heads. So yeah, I'm gonna say old heads are mostly chill, even if some of them can occasionally be a little bit annoying when they talk about modern movies. For the most part, they're really cool. And then next up is the conformist, the type of person who will like anything that the critics say is good, will dislike anything the critics say is bad, and in general, they just don't really form their own opinions. They kind of just follow whatever the popular consensus is. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put this into the mildly annoying tier, and it's not even that they're hurting anybody or being rude or anything like that, but it does kind of irk me a little bit when people don't form their own opinions and don't have a mind of their own on things. And I do get it. It is human nature to be influenced by other people. I think everyone to a certain extent is influenced by the general conversation around a movie. Like, let's be honest, everyone is going to be somewhat influenced by what everyone else is saying about a movie. But there is a certain point where it's like, okay, do you not have any opinions of your own? Do you ever make up your own mind about something? Especially we're talking about a movie where it's really low stakes to have an opinion about a movie. So yeah, I don't know. There's nothing really that bad about this type of person, but it just annoys me when people don't think for themselves. So I have to put that into the mildly annoying tier. All right, there it is. That's the tier list.